Greetings of the day, everyone. Today we'll be discussing the extract-based questions of the poem Keeping Quiet, which is written by Pablo Neruda. The first extract is, now we will count to 12 and we will all keep still. For once on the face of earth, let's not speak in any language. Let's stop for 1 second and not move our arms so much. So how long does the poet want to stay still? So the poet wants us to stay still till we count till 12, till we count to 12. So this may signify that we have to stay still, we do not have to speak any language for a certain amount of time, because the poet wants us to stay still, to stay silent for the benefit of, for our benefit and for the benefit of Mother Earth. Because of the so much mad rush that we have created, because of the technological development and the need for more and more money, we are not able to sit silent for even a second. He wants us to stay silent for just 12 seconds until we count to 12. What does he hope to achieve by keeping quiet? So the poet, as I explained earlier, the poet wants us to achieve that level of self-introspection. Self-introspection means thinking about ourselves, thinking about our past actions and the feelings and our feelings. So the poet wants to achieve us that level of calmness, that we are able to sit quietly, do not speak and talk to ourselves or about our loved ones. So he wants us to achieve that level of calmness and that level of peace by keeping quiet. What does the poet mean by not move our arms so much? So in this phrase, the poet has used the poetic device of pun. Pun is when you use a word which has more than one meaning. You literally change the meaning of the word to make it witty. So the use of arms, the word arms has two meanings. The first is the arms and ammunition, the guns, the tanks, all of these ammunition that countries use to go on war. And the second is our literal arms, our body parts. So with this phrase, the author means that we should not move physically, as well as we as countries should not move our arms and ammunition to create a situation of war. We should be at peace with each other. So these are the two meanings that the word arms contains. The poet wants us to be at peace, and he wants us to be stationary. What does 12 signify? So this word 12 has many meanings. The first one being 12 seconds, the count from 1 to number 12. Another meaning is the daylight hours in a day. We have 24 hours and 12 hours out of that are hours which have daylight. So these are the hours which poet wants us to be silent and keep quiet. Or this 12 may have a meaning that this word contains the meaning of 12 months that we have in a year. So this may mean that also. 12 hours, 12 months, or even 12 seconds on or 12 hours on a clock. The numbers 1 to 12 shown on a clock. This 12 has many meanings. Basically all the time, all the precious time that we use working relentlessly for the pursuit of more and more money, all of this time the author wants us to spend introspecting. The next extract is, it would be an exotic moment, without rush, without engines. We would all be together in a certain strangeness. So which exotic moment is the poet talking about? The special moment, the exotic moment that we will be in when we will stop talking, when we will stop using the help of any technological developments, mobile phones, cars, metros, every technological development that has taken place in the certain era. If we would get rid of it and be stationary or silent for a certain time, it would be an exotic moment. It would be a special moment and a very different moment for us, a very special moment for us. So this is the specific moment of introspection that the poet is talking about. What does it mean by sudden strangeness? Sudden strangeness is a sudden feeling. It's a strange feeling. It's a different feeling that we will experience when we will keep quiet for the amount of time that the poet is prescribing. So this is the sudden experience. This would be a change for us because we are so busy in our lives that we do not keep quiet for a second. We do not stop for a second. So this would be a very special moment for us, and this would be a sudden, strange moment that we would be living in. What does the phrase without rush, without engines signify? So this without rush is basically means without all the hustle and bustle we create. We rush from our homes to offices, offices to then back home, or any physical activity that we do. So all of our times are full of rush. We do not stop for a second. So this moment, it would be without rush, without engines. Engines as a word is inclusive of all the technological developments that have taken place in this era. All of the new technologies, all of the cars, metros, all of the technological developments. Without them, we would be living in a very exotic moment, in a very happy and a peaceful moment. Which poetic device has been used in the phrase sudden strangeness? As you would notice, this phrase sudden strangeness, these two words have the common first word, that is S and S. So these are giving a sound effect to the poem, sudden strangeness. This is obviously the use of alliteration. When two consecutive words have the same first alphabet, this is the use of alliteration. The next extract is, fishermen in the cold sea would not harm whales, and the men gathering salt would look at his hurt hands. The question is, whom does fishermen in the cold sea symbolize? Fishermen in the cold sea obviously signify all the people, all of our humanity who is exploiting the natural resources just for the sake of development and earning more and more money. So they are the fishermen in the cold sea. They are the fishermen. They are the exploiters of natural resources who go on and on deteriorating the natural resources just for the sake of development. Explain the phrase, man gathering salt would not look at his hurt hands. Sorry, this is would look at his hurt hands, not has been placed here by mistake. The phrase is, man gathering salt would look at his hurt hands. So the man gathering salt is obviously symbolic of all the humans who are engaged in development at such a high rate that they do not stop for a second and look at themselves, look at all the destruction that they have caused to our mother nature, the destruction that they have caused to themselves, their families, their mental health. They would stop, the men gathering salt, the men exploiting nature, and the men working for the technological development. They would stop for a second and they would look at their hurt hands. Hurt hands are used as a symbol of all the destruction caused to Mother Earth and all the destruction caused to the humanity in all. So all of those people who are conducting technological development just for the sake of money, and they do not care for the natural resources. So they would look at their hurt hands, they would look back and regret, they would repent on their past actions. The next extract is, those who prepare Greek wars, wars with gas, wars with fire, victories with no survivors, would put on clean clothes and walk about with their brothers in the shade, doing nothing. So what are the various types of wars the poet is talking about? Poet is talking about various types of wars here. Green wars, wars that are conducted over the natural resources, wars with gas, wars which enable the use of atomic bombs, tanks and all. These are the second type of wars which the author is talking about. Wars with fire, Wars with fire is basically the use of another type of arms and ammunition. These are the different types of wars. They are metaphorically used to depict the destruction caused by men just for the sake of gathering more and more and more resources. These are the various types of wars. These are the various types of examples that the poet has given of destruction caused by humans of present era. Explain, put on clean clothes. So this phrase, put on clean clothes, it basically means that all of the people who conduct wars, all of the countries who go on war, and all of the people who are not at peace, they would put on clean clothes. Clean clothes basically means that they would remove their dirty thoughts, they would remove their angry thoughts, and they would put on clean thoughts in their mind, clean thoughts of peace and mindfulness in their personality. So they would put on clean clothes. They would not literally put on clean clothes, they would put on a clean mindset. So this is what clean clothes means. All of those people who prepare for wars, and when the war ends, there are no survivors to enjoy their victory. So they would understand this fact and they would adopt a clean mindset, a mindset full of peace. Explain, walk about with the brothers in the shade doing nothing. So this phrase means that the people, when they would understand that when they conduct wars, there are no survivors to celebrate their victory, they would walk about with their fellow humans, with their fellow human companions, in the shade of peace, doing nothing, engaging in no amount of violence. So all of those people, they would they would be at peace with their brothers, with their fellow humans, and they would be in the in the shade of peace, and they would be doing nothing. They would not be at war. Which poetic device has been used in the first two lines? So in the first two lines, we come across the poetic device repetition. So the repetition is being used because there is the repeated use of the word wars, green wars, wars with gas, wars with fire. The author has used wars again and again. This is the employment of the device repetition. The next extract is, what I want should not be confused with total inactivity. Life is what it is about. I want no truck with death. What misunderstanding is the author clearing out? So the author, this is the concluding paragraph. So this, by this paragraph, the author wants to clear a misunderstanding that might have been created throughout the poem. The author basically preaches to stay silent, stay quiet, stay stationary. But in this paragraph, he is clearing a misunderstanding that what I want is a bit of a silence, a bit of a stop for all of the people to introspect all of the wrong things they are doing. I do not want them to be completely inactive and doing nothing. He simply wants us to stop for a second, to be quiet for a second and introspect our actions. He does not want us to be totally inactive, and being totally inactive is somewhat close to death, which the author is not meaning to convey. He's simply meaning that stop for a second and introspect your actions. What does the phrase, life is what it is about? This is a very beautiful line, which means that life is what it is about. Life is all about the things that, all about the experiences that we have, all about the things that we do, or all about the relationships we create. So it is all it is about. When we remember what we have lived, what our life was, we remember all of the experiences and all of the relationships that we have created. So it is all it is about. When we have to live, we have to move, we have to create certain relationships. So the author doesn't want us to stop doing that. He wants us to stop for a second mentally and retrospect on our actions and think what wrong we have done and what rush we were in. Elaborate, I want no truck with death. So this is a very heavy line, and this is the use of euphemism. As you may have referred to in the previous video, what is euphemism? So this is a very, this line has a very deep meaning, in which author says that I want no truck with death. By this he means that he doesn't want us to be totally inactive. To being totally inactive is being dead, but life is all about moving. He doesn't want us to be inactive, just stop for a second. So he doesn't want any entanglement with death. He doesn't want any talk on this subject, on this gloomy subject. All he wants us is to stop and be quiet for a second. If we were not so single-minded about keeping our lives moving, and for once could do nothing, perhaps a huge silence might interrupt the sadness of never understanding ourselves and of threatening ourselves with death. So the first question is, what are we single-minded about? All of us are single-minded about moving further in our lives, getting more and more money, getting a promotion at a job, studying more, gaining more experiences, traveling more countries. We are always single-minded about. We do not think about ourselves, about the experiences around us, or about the people around us. We are so single-minded about keeping our lives moving ahead. Explain, perhaps a huge silence might interrupt this sadness. This is a beautiful play of words where the poet is saying that silence must interrupt the sadness. Whereas silence is being keeping quiet, it cannot interfere, it cannot interrupt any amount of sound. But this silence of being keeping quiet for 12 seconds or for 12 hours or for 12 months, this will interrupt the large gap of sadness that we have created in our lives, because we did not introspect on our actions. We were just moving forward and forward and forward. So this amount of silence, this would interrupt the sadness. This would terminate the sadness here and here only. What idea do we form of the present lifestyle when we read this paragraph? So obviously we form an idea that present lifestyle is very stressful. It is very quick. It is always fast forward. It's a fast forward lifestyle where nobody waits for anyone. This is a very fast paced lifestyle that we come to know about. What does the author mean by threatening ourselves with death? This means that when we think about death, we think that death should not come to us. We should always be healthy. We should earning more money. We should keep ourselves secure. We should keep our future secure. So when we always threaten ourselves with death, with the subject of death, we do not talk about it. So this is what we are doing wrong. This is what this thought process will be interrupted by the silence that we would be in. When we would not be talking about this subject, when we would not be talking about all the calmness that we have left rushing and rushing because of many resources. The next extract is, perhaps the earth can teach us, as when everything seems dead and later proves to be alive. Now I'll count up to 12 and you keep quiet and I will go. So what can the earth teach us? The earth can obviously teach us that when everything appears dead, every one of us has seen that when plants grow, they grow gradually. They are stationary at a point. They grow standing at a certain place. So something that is stationary is equated to being dead. But when it grows and spurts into a tree, then we come to know that this plant is alive. So this is a principle that Mother Earth can teach us, that when everything seems dead, it can come alive. So we should not be equating something. We should not be equating something dead, equating something stationary to being dead. Earth teaches us that when everything is dead, it can still be alive. What does the poet mean to achieve by counting up to 12? So this is a repetitive question. Counting up to 12 would be to realize the principle that Mother Nature has to teach us, and the and to understand the principle of stopping by and retrospecting for a moment. What is the significance of keeping quiet? Keeping quiet is basically stopping for a moment, mentally relaxing yourself, and giving yourself a moment in this lifestyle full of rush. In this fast paced lifestyle, we should give ourselves a mental break. This is what keeping quiet is all about. Elaborate as when everything seems dead and later proves to be alive. As I've already explained, this phrase means that Mother Earth can teach us that all my elements, when they are stationary at a point, a mountain doesn't move, a tree doesn't move. So they appear to be dead because they are stationary, but they can prove to be alive when they grow. So this is the principle that Mother Earth is teaching us. Even when you are stationary at a point in your life is not finished. You are not appearing to be dead. When you think about it, when you retrospect, you are actually alive. You are full of calmness, you are full of peace. You should not worry about yourself when you stop for a second.